And we are now in Champ Select. So, for you guys who may have missed out on the first bans, we did have CLG Black banning Darius, focused at Yazuki from Orbit, and we had Orbit banning Ari, focused at Link from CLG Black. So now we're waiting for the first set of bans here from each team. Riven being banned, and that's another... Yazuki tends to play...
for Yazuki.
Yeah, he tends to play very aggressive top laners, so that's no surprise that they would be banning that out. It would also not surprise me if we saw a Nocturne ban from CLG Black targeted at High, considering his incredible Nocturne skills.
Yes, it takes a real man to play Nocturne the way High does, let me tell you what.
It's true. Very aggressive Nocturne play. And Lee Sin, that's going to be aimed at Psycho Sid.
Yes, his Lee Sin is pretty potent. We also have a Morgana ban, I mean, likely aimed at Nubby Pooh Bear.
Yes, Nubby Pooh Bear is a renowned Morgana player, so no surprise there. And these bans that are going down in Orbit, you can tell from the Darius, the Riven, the Morgana, this is a very, and what we were saying earlier about High's Nocturne, Orbit has a very aggressive gank-heavy playstyle. These are all champions that have high mobility, high damage, and are able to kind of get those early kills so that they can
really
snowball
strong
their lanes.
ganks.
Yeah, and really strong ganks, especially from champions like Morgana.
Yeah, and Urgot here for Hood Stomp. So... that's not really a surprise either. I'm interested to see if we'll get a Graves ban. And we see Karthus banned again, probably another one aimed at Nubby Pooh Bear. Karthus getting, even with his global ultimate, his cooldown, we're seeing a lot of Karthus bans in general still at high level play.
That's absolutely correct, KDH. And now we're going to see Nientenso, who is a remarkable AD carry player, pushing out the final ban here. I'm really excited about these games. These guys, both of these guys are extremely up-and-coming teams, and that Kennen is going to be the last
wow.
ban. And
dude,
Shen first.
Is that a Shen pick? Do we get to actually see Shen played?
We
even
do.
Even at high level? I'm excited.
Yeah, and it'll be good to see this. Even though his ult recently did receive a bit of a cooldown nerf, it is still global, and it'll be interesting to see whether CLG Black tries to go for a split push comp here, and whether they try and put Shen in top lane or in the jungle.
How is Zuna at jungling Shen?
I actually have not seen Zuna jungle Shen before. Typically, typically Zuna is more known for his Lee Sin and his Nocturne.
Yes.
So, I haven't seen this. Speaking of Nocturne,
there he is.
Yeah, no surprise. High is one of High's kind of trademark champions. We've seen it a lot in the past few weeks. Orbit has been doing extremely well recently. They were such a surprise at the MLG Spring Championships in Anaheim.
That they were.
Yeah, coming back and beating TSM Evo. Nobody expected that at the time, but in the interim, they've won the last TSM North American Invitational, and they won the Leaguepedia Invitational a couple weeks back. So they are really on a roll, and it'll be interesting to see if they can take their third online tournament in a row here at the LeagueCraft ggClassic.
And wouldn't that be something? We see here that Bloodwater picks up Janna, and Link picks up Twisted Fate to complement his Shen pick that has already been laid down. That's to be a very interesting little tactic there. And we see Ezreal coming down to presumably go with Soraka. So, and I do, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that Nien is a fan of Ezreal.
Nien is a very strong mechanical AD carry bot, and we're really seeing, in the North American scene, we're really seeing the rise of some phenomenally talented AD carry players. Legion yesterday, Demon Lull doing a fantastic job throughout the tournament, really carrying Legion on his back. Not only that, but Nien is an amazing Ezreal player, plays a lot of Ezreal, and also Hood Stomp here on CLG Black, known for his Graves play, and really has carried CLG Black at times. So amazing, really, the talent of AD carries in North America at this time. It's definitely the continent's strongest position.
Yeah, for sure. America loves them some carry, and you notice we see here Hood Stomp picking up Corki and Psycho Sid taking Rumble. I'm not quite sure if... I don't know what the Rumble pick was in reaction to, or if it was just to be cohesive with his team.
Right, and we're seeing Link here. I'm actually surprised that they didn't ban TF. Link is known very widely for playing TF. And let's take a look at these team comps right now. TF and Shen together are going to have some crazy global presence and ganks, especially to counter that Nocturne that Hai is running. I think that's probably why they didn't ban it. If they knew that they were going to be running some sort of global protection comp, it would really nullify a lot of Nien's ability to do some ganks at 6, considering that both TF and Shen will be able to show up relatively rapidly. On the other side, Lemonation picking Soraka, a very safe pick. He's known for his Blitzcrank play traditionally, and he can be... Lemonation is skilled in the way that he can kind of move back and forth between both aggressive support play and some very passive support play. So it looks like they're just going to be trying to farm up. In the meantime, we're going to see Yazuki going for Malphite, I assume, in top lane, and that's going to be a... I'm surprised they picked that after the Rumble pick. Typically, you see Malphite picked against kind of attack damage bruisers. Rumble is one of the better picks against Malphite, along with Kennen and perhaps Vladimir, those champions that aren't so reliant on the auto attacks in order to deal damage. So that'll be interesting to see that. It should be a relatively passive lane, I should think. Meantime, bottom, Bloodwater and Hood Stomp, looks like they're going for more of a late-game Corki build. We're not seeing any crazy kind of Corki Leona or Corki Taric aggro lanes. It looks like both teams are probably going to be playing passive until about 6 before we're going to start to see some really high levels of aggression given the number of global or near-global ults on both of these teams.
You know, the thing, that's absolutely that's on point. And I think, you know, an interesting thing with the Malphite and the Rise and the Nocturne here, getting picked against a Janna as well, you know, all of those champions get in pretty close. Rise as a mage is still pretty close, well within, I think, Janna's ultimate range. So the knockback from that should be able to push most of their damage out of the fight once it goes in.
Yeah, and typically, you know, I have to say I'm just a tad bit worried about Orb's comp. Typically, the Ezreal really shines when you have a lot of CC champs on your team so that he can continue to use his high mobility and nobody can really catch up with him. There's not a ton of CC. Rise's Rune Prison is really the only immobilize besides the Malphite ult, Unstoppable Force, on Orbit. So it'll be interesting to see if that CLG Black is going to be able to chase this Ezreal down and kill him relatively quickly. In the meantime, we do have quite a bit of disengage and kind of tank line for Corki on CLG Black. And if they're running for a late game Corki build here, you know, of course we have Shen with the taunt, the disengage from Monsoon from Janna, as well as the Rumble ult, providing a lot of zoning potential for Corki to kind of hide behind, as well as gold card from TF. So the protect comp on the AD carry is pretty strong. So if they can farm up in the early game, I think that CLG Black will probably have a late game advantage.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you know, I was wondering also, you mentioned Zuna plays a pretty strong Nocturne in the Shen pick. Since both of these teams are very strong Nocturne players, I wasn't thinking they were going to be able to get Shen and Nocturne, but boy, wouldn't that have been something to see TF, Shen, and Nocturne on the same team.
Would have been mildly terrifying for sure, and definitely one of those...
Terrifying, Monty?
Terrifying.
You know, and so I noticed Link is running Flash Ghost on TF. Is there anything you can offer into the insight as to, you know, why he doesn't take Ignite? Like, you know, most mid players usually see take Flash Ignite.
Well, Flash Ghost is not a really uncommon on TF, a lot of players do run Flash Ghost. A lot of them run Flash Ignite as well. But that's basically just to aid in your ganks and your mobility so that you can move around from mid lane and also follow up on your ports better. Of course, if you slightly mess up a port or the enemy jukes into a brush or does something unexpected, that Ghost can help you chase down somebody after that port. So it can be very effective and is definitely a good choice on TF. He's one of those mid champs that doesn't always have to run, you know, kind of Flash Ignite. You know, Karthus, of course, can run like Flash Exhaust or some other combos like that. But I think we're going to see, as the kind of summer spells have been sort of steadily nerfed, Flash Ghost is becoming, I think, more and more relevant on AD carries as well as some AP mid champions. I know some people tend to run like Flash Ghost on Caitlyn, and that can be very effective for chasing people down and setting up your ace in the hole.
Yes. Caitlyn especially, I think that's totally true. If you can get ahead of the pack and make sure you fire that thing off without anybody being able to react.
Right, and that'll become even more relevant now that we've seen some Caitlyn buffs very recently. So I'm excited to see if she becomes a little bit more viable. Of course, I don't think the players have kind of gotten back to playing her yet, and the only person that I can think of off the top of my head who was ever really a Caitlyn expert was Double Lift.
And he's, I think he's more preoccupied with some other carries at the moment.
I think he might be.
Well, here you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The game is about to start.
It is indeed. And I'm just going to switch these little logos around here so we get these guys on the right side of the map for you. Sorry about the colors. They are a little off, but let's go ahead and switch those around. And now we are going to be in-game, moving on here, and we see... Let's take a look. I mean, like I was saying earlier, I really don't think we're going to see any kind of aggression from these guys up until that point at level 6 or so, and it should be a very kind of passive farm lane until then.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We are live and in-game. And as you were saying, Monty, I think that when level 6 happened, this game is going to get a lot scarier very quickly.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting because, of course, they're going to try and look to snowball lanes as fast as possible with those ults. And I predict that if somebody manages to get a few kills with those global ults, the other team will respond by trying to kill turrets and end the laning phase as fast as possible in order to kind of mitigate that threat that the other team is creating. And into late game, we could have some really interesting team fights and chases. I'm really excited about what we're going to see in this game. So, like, a lot of global ults, and I find these global ults, considering that they tend to move champions, more exciting than Karthus.
I agree. And presently we have, speaking of things happening, we have some early game invading going on. We have CLG Black just wandering in directly over to the Wraith camp area for Orbit, and you know, Yazuki's sitting there in that top bush, and I'm sure everyone knows what's going on right here. Everybody's rolling around into the red buff bush, and we have yep, there's the rest of Orbit coming in from the bottom next to the Wraith camp. There's wards down. Lemon Nation has pink warded the ward placed there by CLG Black, so that's down, and now they're sort of flying blind in the jungle. Yazuki's still sitting in Tribush up top, not really interested in moving down there. I don't think Orbit is necessarily interested in attempting to contest any activity over here. Yeah, they're just looking for first blood. With the new jungle being as easy to kill and as quickly respawning as it is, people have sort of stopped trying to steal red or blue buff as much. They just invade the jungle looking mostly for first blood, although it does appear we're going to see a red steal here anyway, as Orbit goes to their blue and is just going to do it. They already did the wolves, and here we have, up by the red buff, we're going to have... I'm sorry, something is very weird with my camera. Alright, there we go. We're going to have CLG Black steal the red in the end anyway. And as Yuzuki's just going to sort of let it happen, he's going to go up top and start last hitting.
Right, and they knew where that pink ward was, of course, and so on that invade, they were not going to do anything really to jeopardize it. They knew the pink ward was there, so they weren't going to take wolves, and they knew that Orbit had backed off, considering they weren't in that brush there by wraiths. So it was pretty safe steal, all things considered. Not surprising that they did it and sent two of their members home to go farm. In the meantime, we're just going to start up the old laning phase here. Orb High is actually going to move down for a quick red steal. He saved his smite from that blue buff, and we're going to see a quick gank here on Link.
There it is. He comes right in the mid, right as the Rune Prison's going down. The Dustbringer misses because the Rune Prison wears off just in time. So we're going to see that gank not really amount to a whole lot, but it looks like he's going to loop around and come back for more. No, he's just going to go to Wraith. You know, a really great play by High, knowing that they were going to take the red buff and just going straight for Sheds.
Yeah, and let's take a look here in bottom lane at what's going on. Looks like we don't have any heavy trades yet or any early aggressive kind of level 2 aggression. P-Bomb going down on the end, so we're going to see a little bit of a harassment here, but that sustain from Soraka should be able to easily keep him in lane. Link pushing pretty far forward now. Meanwhile...
Zuna and High are about to meet each other in the jungle, I think, as he's doing High just super counter jungle mode, going straight for the golem, and there's Zuna coming in. We're going to see a little jungler on jungler here in the bottom lane, as both Hoodstomp and Bloodwater coming. There's the exhaust and the taunt. First blood goes to Corki. Hoodstomp manages to pick that up. High got a little too greedy in that counter jungling, I think, and just got sandwiched in between Shen and bot lane.
Yeah, that was a really nice reaction, and the issue there was that, you know, the smite was down, so he had to spend a lot of time in that jungle, and after knowing the path, he should have realized that Zuna was probably going to be coming down to that south jungle relatively soon. I think a bit of a greedy play there by High, and that will terrifyingly donate double buffs to Hood Stomp. So that's going to be infinite phosphorus bombs now, as well as tagging Nien with that red buff, going to be very, very dangerous. So they might actually go for some really aggressive plays. I'm kind of surprised that Zuna hasn't followed up and maybe tried to get a kill there. Meanwhile, Zuna's coming around top.
Zuna's coming around top. I was surprised he didn't dash Golem Wall and come over and try to get High, but he is going to hang out in that tri-bush. And Psycho Sid coming around as well to help out. There's High, and Zuna's going to run in. It doesn't look like we're going to see anyone follow up on that, but that could have potentially been a pretty sticky situation as well.
Right, and Zuna is now just going to have free reign of the top jungle from High. That's a really scary place to be in. Meanwhile, a bit of trade going on here in mid lane, and we're going to see if Zuna can come in.
Stun. Yeah, it doesn't look like Zuna's going to make anything happen out of that. The CCs at this point are wearing off just a little too quickly to come in from that far up.
And it looks like Nien's taking some damage here down in bot lane, but nothing yet. So an early first blood and an exciting kill there from a bit of an over-aggressive play by High is all that we've seen so far. And we're just waiting right now to see what the strategy will be once these players get a little bit more high level. Link approaching level 6, so he should have a good time of it relatively soon.
It's not often you see kills in general, but especially first blood go down in the jungle due to over-aggression early. That's something that, it makes for an exciting game, but it's just not something that I've seen a lot in tournament play.
Yeah, I'm surprised, actually. Like I said, I was surprised that High managed to stick around in the jungle that long. He could have, had a good advantage by taking those raids, taking that red buff, and then going on and either returning to his jungle or trying to gank bot there. So I'm a bit surprised, considering that he should know, Shen's jungle path well enough to know that if he takes red, in fact, Zuna could have actually showed up earlier if he hadn't bothered to take blue, which, of course, Shen doesn't need without mana. So
that's true. Yeah, and as you were saying about the terrifyingly convenient double buff on Hood Stomp, it's worn off now, but thank goodness for Lemon Nation playing Soraka in this lane in that instance, because that's probably the only reason they've been able to stay in lane for as long as they have.
100% accurate there. And it has worn off, but it has given him, a level advantage right now. He has been able to zone him out just a tad bit. And if we look at the CS right now, it's 48 to 41. So Ezreal actually, Nien doing a great job of CSing even under these adverse conditions and under turret for most of the time as well. Looks like there's a pink ward now in top river. Psycho Sid's Rumble taking out the ward, protecting Yazuki up here. So he will be more open to ganks. They have a ward and tri-brush as well, so Psycho Sid feeling pretty safe about being pushed so far forward in the lane.
Yeah, especially because Nocturne, Nocturne giving up first blood there, definitely still being behind Shen. He's not going to be coming for ganks anywhere for a while, let alone a top lane that's been warded as heavily as that has.
Indeed. And again, both of these junglers pretty satisfied to stay in their own jungle at this point, and we do see a lot of wards on the map right now. You can see that High has just placed one here in River in order to watch probably for Zuna to come through River into his jungle and either set up a gank behind Ryze or to try a little bit of counter jungling on his own. But I don't think he's really interested in that. Link, in the meantime, just hit level 7, so he does have Destiny up and available, but no good opportunities yet. Although you can see Hood Stomp freezing the lane here in bottom toward his turret, and that will allow, hopefully, a gank to be set up for CLG Black behind the minion line as it's a little bit far forward.
You take a look at this item build real quick. Hood Stomp foregoing the traditional double Dorns build and just going straight for BF Sword. And it's showing there as you watch Nien take a missile, which takes almost the entire bar of his HP.
Well, the thing about what they're doing, and I think why Hood Stomp is making this decision, is if you're going for a more aggressive early game on Corki, you're going to go for that Sheen Phage Trinity Force build. But if you're going for a late game build on Corki, you definitely want to go straight to Infinity Edge. And as I was saying in Champion Select, this is not really an early game comp that's coming out of CLG Black. This is a comp that they want to run and zone out people into late game. So ultimately, Corki, if he's going to be able to deal more auto attacks, he's going to do more damage than he could with Trinity Force over time with an Eye Edge. So I imagine that's the logic behind that build. Meantime, you can see,
I think so.
Yeah, you can see Hood Stomp going for golems right now, and the lane dynamics as Link hit 6 were, it looked to me that all of CLG Black's players were trying to play back more towards their turret to open up those ganks, and I think that that's probably a good reason why Hood Stomp left lane right there, is they're trying not to push, as I say, as he shoots a big one in and kills several minions. Rise, in the meantime, has blue buff now.
He has acquired the blue buff, and it looks like, I'm wondering, there's the Nocturne ulti. TF has been feared. He flashes the wall and manages to get out with the gold card, with fear not being affected, and there's Shen coming in. TF getting back towards the turret with the Shen ultimate to try and put Shen a little bit forward, didn't quite do it in time. That was a whole lot of global ult for not a whole lot of someone dying in mid lane, but it was still very exciting.
Yeah, unfortunately, Link couldn't quite get that TF gate down before the Shen ult Stand United completed, and that's just a timing and mechanics issue that CLG Black unfortunately didn't really execute quite properly. Could have been very spectacular, but just a little bit late. But in the meantime, CLG Black does manage to stay alive, and a bunch of ults were blown there in mid lane, as well as Nocturnes, so not kind of a net even score there.
True. Well, if you're Orbit, I think you come out on top of that, because Shen's ulti has a really, really long cooldown. And whereas Nocturnes and TFs are about the same, you'll have both of those globals up again at relatively the same amount of time. But Shen's is going to be down for a lot longer. So if you can bust the TF ulti and the Shen ulti in the same fight and not lose anybody, I think you do pretty well on that. And
Zuna now coming in for a lane gank here on Yazuki. And let's see how well this goes.
Yazuki has been doing that maneuver the whole time in lane, which is really awesome. When Psycho Sid pops his shield, his W, to give him that movement speed buff to start chasing with that flamethrower, Yazuki seismic shards him to not only slow him, but steal that movement speed. Oh, but there's Shen coming in. Yazuki's got to ult out, and he's going to get dove on the turret. That Rumble ultimate into the Shen taunt is just... that's not a combo you want to be stuck in the middle of.
In the meantime, looks like we're going to see a pincher maneuver here on Link in mid lane. High coming in now. Nubby Pooh Bear looking like he wants to use that rune prison. Here comes Fear. Will he run the wrong direction? He runs the right direction.
Yes, he does.
He's still going to go down.
Yes, he's going to go down. It's not going to be to High. It's going to be to Nubby Pooh Bear, which is probably better for the lane. Despite pulling gold card, I think at least once, maybe twice. They still managed to take him down. High is going to have to go back now. So 2-1 the score. The gold lead right now is a little more than 1K in favor of CLG Black.
Yeah, and that's going to be mostly due to, looks like, superior farming, I suppose. We haven't seen any global objectives go down yet. Let me just take a look at these farm scores right here. It looks like farm's about even, actually, across the board. So I guess it's really just coming from that extra kill. I mean, that's not enough gold to really justify it, but overall, the creep scores look relatively even.
Yeah, it's that extra kill and the slight discrepancy in the creep scores will do that, I think.
Also, it's the Heart of Gold on Shen, for sure.
Oh, that as well. Shen does have that GP5 generating a little bit more gold without CSing, so you do have that going on.
And also the extra assists looks like it is part of the discrepancy there. So in the meantime, we're returning to this very passive game so far, a 2-1 score at 12.5 minutes, a little more than 1,000 gold for CLG Black in the lead right now. And not much else to say at this point. Ezreal choosing to go a double Doran's Blades. Meanwhile, Bloodthirster already complete on Hoodstomp's Corki.
That's a nasty. And look at his auto attacks. His auto attacks. He's hitting the end for a lot of damage just with his auto attack because of that Bloodthirster. And how many stacks does he already have on this Bloodthirster?
16. So he's getting up there.
Wow. So it's only going to get worse.
It's only going to get worse, or better if you're Hoodstomp, I suppose.
That's true, or better if you're Hoodstomp. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Kazuki having to potion up in top lane. Psycho Sid's Rumble is really starting to become a problem for Malphite, who, as a champion, you said counters top lane bruisers. A lot of that is to do with the fact that he just gets so many bonuses for stacking armor.
Well, and also the ground slam makes it very difficult for bruisers to trade, but Psycho Sid is not really reliant on his auto attacks unless he's in overheating due to his passive. But even so, you know, it's not going to be enough, and I think this Rumble is going to get a lot. I mean, already has a farm advantage and is pretty much free farming at will, has had the top lane extremely well warded, usually with 2 wards, 1 in River and 1 in Tribrush, so that's going to be a big advantage to get that Rumble into the late game. Rumble gets extremely strong in the mid and late game with his ult and the amount of damage that he can deal. And we're seeing a Hextech first build on Rumble. It'll be interesting to see if he completes the WOTA or in fact goes for a Rylai's or another item before completing his WOTA. Have to wait and see on that one. You can tell he's not really threatened because he hasn't picked up any Doran's shields, which is usually an item you would get on Rumble if you're feeling like you're losing the lane or that you're in any real danger. Also, with Hood Stomp, we can tell he doesn't feel he's in any real danger because he hasn't picked up any Doran's Blades of his own. So
he hasn't even picked up level 2 boots yet.
Yeah, I mean, all of CLG Black's players feeling extremely comfortable with this comp and safe in the fact that their teammates can save them if they get into trouble, such as TF and Shen. So a really nice play here, and you can see the thought process that CLG Black is engaging in their itemization of champions.
Yeah, it's very apparent, and you can see the whole team, as you said, super confident. Most of the, you know, we have mid and top that have been pushed up to turret pretty much most of the game. Bot has been sort of a seesaw back and forth. As high is coming in for a lane gank. The few things are more terrifying than Nocturne lane ganking.
Yeah, they are pushed very far forward there, and Shen does have Stand United up, so they could reverse this gank pretty quickly. TF looking like he's trying to get in ult range as well for Destiny.
Oh, this could go south for Orbit pretty quickly if both of them ult in at the same time. It'll turn a 3v2 into a 4v3, which is no good. There it is. There's Shen ulting, and he was already in lane. We're going to see TF coming in as well. Hive's going to get taunted. There's the every ultimate. Orbit's going to... Yen is going to pick up a kill there. Psycho Sid coming down as well somehow. We're going to see Lemon Nation go down, and Yen is going to have to just walk off, basically. Here's a teleport coming in from Nubby Pooh Bear, but it is too little too late, as that turned into what I believe was a 5v3 in bottom lane.
Yeah, I'm actually going to back up a bit because I'm wondering what happened to that TF ult. It looked like they were able to lock down TF, and oh wow. As you can see, Yakuzi coming in to deal with Link as they saw that ult going down. So they actually prevented Link from getting into that fight. Really nice job there by Orbit to prevent that gank from going another way and almost killing Link in the process. Beautiful play.
Yeah, no, that was really, really well done. And it's plays like that, you know, you see the gank, you see the team fight go down bottom lane, and you think that, you know, oh man, they didn't react to that very well. But in actuality, they did a really, really good job at reacting to the counter gank that went on with the global ultimate. So really nice job by all players there.
Yeah, really, really good work. And that was a 2-for-1 exchange in CLG Black's favor, but it was nice that that Orbit managed to get Corki Hood Stomp going down, and that'll delay them a little bit. You can see Corki now picking up that Sheen, so he'll be going Bloodthirster into Trinity Force, it appears, and that is a very aggressive build. Typically you see Corki picking up Phage first, but again, this CLG Black comp very confident in their ability to protect Corki, even though he just died in that gank. Also, we have to talk about this late game a little bit. I'm very concerned for Orbit's mental health in late game as the split push from TF and Shen is just going to be brutal, and Gate going down now behind Yakuzi in top lane.
Oh, yep, there it is. We see TF coming in. He's going to be able to pull a card. His Rumble's going to stick on, and the slow is going to be too much. Yazuki, unfortunately, pushed all the way to tower, and the Destiny was up again. So, you know, if you have Rumble slowing you from the front and TF gating on you from the back, there's not a lot you can do. But fortunately for Orbit, that results in an easy dragon. As we had TF bust his ult to get top, that means that no one is really in position to do a whole lot about them just taking dragon right out from under them.
Yeah, and that was another great reaction we saw by Orbit right there. And both of these teams showing how skilled they are. You know, these are two both up-and-coming teams that have made some big waves recently in the North American scene, and they are just showing that they can hang with the best of them. And their thought process and strategies, you know, they really know how to react in these varied situations and maximize the advantage when the other team makes a little bit of a slip-up. So in spite of that kill, we can see that Orbit's still hanging in there with a less than 2,000 gold deficit by taking that dragon. Really well played.
Yeah, it's all been really great work by both teams in this match so far. It's been a really exciting game.
So Hoodstop now coming in for some aggression. I don't know if they're actually going to be able to do this. No.
Yeah, this is a tough thing. But Shen's coming in. We're gonna see. Zuna gets the taunt off, and that is curtains for elimination. There's not a whole lot you can do in between Shen taunt and Hoodstop, just putting down all that damage. But as you were saying, Hoodstomp, although he has a lot of damage, is incredibly squishy, and with Soraka in the lane to give that armor buff to Nien as Ezreal has done a great job of actually out-farming Hoodstomp somehow, despite all of what's been going on, and he's got quite a bit of damage on him too. So the trades, without Shen's interference, I think the trades are going to keep going in favor of Orbit.
Yeah, unfortunately for Orbit, Corki Hoodstomp does have 400 more gold than Ezreal right now. Now that's by no means, an insurmountable amount of gold, but he is a little bit ahead, even with superior farm from Nien.
Yep, and Psycho Sid up top again, warding Tribush, is just the safest as he could possibly be, doing so much damage to Yuzuki, who has picked up a Negatron cloak.
Yeah,
he has a Negatron cloak and still is taking as much damage as he is.
Well, you can see Psycho Sid now building into that Abyssal Scepter, so he's definitely going to be trying to help him and TF out. Now the Rumble ult going down.
Man. Yeah, Rumble is going down, but darkness is happening. Yuzuki having to flash out. Not a whole lot he can do, and Shen's going to teleport in onto Psycho Sid. So, and TF's going to gate in as well, probably. There's a teleport going on. Don't know if Hive's going to be able to make it out with this one. There's the taunt. Yep, okay. So we're going to see the turret go down, and Hive and Yuzuki both die, but we're going to see Nubby Pooh Bear pick that up with the teleport. So
I have to say, KDH, I'm really loving these team comps and these fights that we're seeing. They're so unusual. And
it's really strange.
So much mobility from both teams here, and a great pick by Nubby Pooh Bear for Rise with this teleport. They knew exactly what they were facing for CLG Black here, and a great counter via the Summoner spell in order to deal with the champions that CLG Black picked.
Yeah, that's really brilliant strategery right there. I'm really impressed, and that it's been working out for them because what is the cooldown on Summoner Teleport when in this instance?
I believe it's about 5 minutes.
Okay. 180-second cooldown. He's got 180-second cool. Oh no, casting again to cancel.
Right.
So never mind.
I think it's 300 seconds if you actually follow through with the port. But I'm not sure about that stat entirely. It could be 6 minutes, but it's somewhere in that range.
So the teleport, a little longer of a cooldown than a Shen ultimate.
Oh, yes, of course. But that still hasn't stopped, really, Nubby Pooh Bear from using the teleport extremely effectively to get into battles that he probably shouldn't have been in. And I actually just missed a kill there on Nien, so I'm going to back it up a little bit so we can see that. And looks like Psycho Sid again in bot lane.
I don't know how he keeps ending up down there. He walks, presumably, because he doesn't have teleport or global ultimate.
Right, I'm really surprised that he's been able to be down there so frequently. A very impressive play there from Psycho Sid, and it would be disastrous if Psycho Sid hadn't been able to pick up kills seemingly every time he goes down there. But he keeps managing to make these ganks work almost as soon as he arrives. Or as soon as he arrives on both occasions. So little lost time, but now he has a terrifying 4-1-3 with 32 CS more than his lane opponent Malphite. Now they both have Abyssals, but we see the blue pot now on Rumble, so they're going to be going for some mid-game aggression as Rumble will pop that blue pot. And Soraka going down now. I'm sorry guys, I'm watching. There's a lot of movement and action on this map.
Wait, we got some stuff going on. We got get a Hood Stomp, Psycho Sid, and Bloodwater going in on Hai and Yuzuki, chasing them out of their top jungle. It looks like I'm not quite sure if they're attempting to do maybe a push on bottom lane, as Nubby Pooh Bear and Nien are going to just sort of be forced to have to back off of this tower. It looks like Zuna's just going to tank everything going in there, and there's a bunch of damage going down. We're going to see a taunt. Nien is going to get ulted by Rumble. The slow is going to be a little much. Hoodstomp's going to pick up the kill there on Nien with a missile, it looked like. And so we're going to see a push on the tower, just CLG Black getting really, really aggressive now that they've sort of asserted their dominance. And as you said, Monty, Psycho Sid's Rumble is terrifying at this point. He's just got so much AP. He hasn't even popped his blue pot. He's just doing so much damage with his Flame Spitter, and his ultimate is wreaking havoc, as are even his Electro Harpoon just going out. Just the constant poke. The manalessness of Rumble is really just making this mid game difficult.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very impressive team comp and extremely well thought out coordination for CLG Black. They are moving in an extraordinary fashion and securing these kills, and they obviously have some very good team communication to pull off these kind of tricks. And they had the Dragon Timer. It is back up right now, and CLG Black will take the second Dragon for a very commanding 7,000 gold lead at this point, and that's going to be really difficult for Orbit to overcome.
Yeah, I think even more important than the gold lead at this point is just the momentum and the mental superiority. I don't know if this is the right word, but you know, they have to be in the heads of Orbit right now. They've just been so dominant all game, and they've had everything warded, and they've been getting all of the right plays with all of their members in all of the right positions, and it's just got to be really. It's frustrating to be in that situation if you're Orbit, because you know that you're doing as much as you can, and you're still 8,000 gold down.
Right, and we can see Link just went back and picked up his Lich Bane, so he's going to be a huge problem. Link also still not having level 2 boots. Meantime, let's take a look at Gosuzuna and Psycho Sid. Both of them have combined for 8 of the 11 kills. 3 kills, 5 assists on Shen, and 4 kills, 4 assists on Rumble. So these guys have been doing an excellent, amazing job of roaming and securing kills for their teams across the map, and their play is really commendable.
Yes, it really is. And, you know, we have the Oracles on Shen now, as well as the Oracles on Soraka. So this game is starting to turn into a Baron dance, as we see both teams have it warded up, and both teams have an Oracle. So it's going to start focusing around Baron pretty soon here.
Yeah, I don't even know how they're going to kill Gosuzuna at this point. He already has the Aegis and the Giant's Belt and a Heart of Gold with significant resist, so 116 armor, 130 MR. So they're going to have a hell of a time taking him down. And in the meantime, you know, Soraka Lemonation hasn't even finished their Aegis yet. So really the tankiness as well of CLG Black is going to make it really, really hard for them to kill him. And they're just going to go ahead and do Baron right now. Very bold Baron.
Indeed, they took the ward out, but I mean, like I said, they've had the attitude, they've had the mental capacity and the momentum to just do risky things like this, and they're not going to throw it away. You notice them backing off of Baron right now to take out that ward, but I think they're just going to go right back to it. Everyone knows it's happening, but no one knows quite what to do about it. There's another ward over the top, and are we going to see a smite steal attempt? It looks like we're just going to see a fight go down, or Bloodwater's going to go down to Nian. Hoodstomp's going to take out High. Nubby Poohbear is going to get Psycho Sid, and he's also going to get Shen, apparently. Hoodstomp is going down here, almost going down, excuse me, to Rise, but TF, Link is going to port in and help Hoodstomp out, and Lemonation is just going to have to try to get out of Soraka, but all of that damage is going to come in, and I think Hoodstomp's going to pick that up as well, and ace for CLG Black. What a colossal team fight that just happened.
Right, and these are exactly the two champions that you didn't want up if you were Orbit. Of course, at TF with Lich Bane and this very fed Corki are going to be deeply problematic in terms of pushing down your towers, especially since Corki has a Trinity Force. The amount of damage that they can proc off of towers is really extraordinary. So they're going to take down that tower with really no trouble. And although they didn't get Baron, we do push that lead to over 10,000 gold for CLG Black.
Unfortunately for Orbit, they didn't keep pushing, you know. They were too low and Orbit players were up, so that's really great for Orbit that those two extremely potent tower killers did not keep pushing down top lane. And that's the most remarkable thing about that team fight, I think, is that Baron is still there.
And now Corki choosing Hoodstomp, making a defensive choice. He's going to be building a Banshee's Veil in order to better deal with this Rise, who is the only real legitimate threat with 4-1-1 off of Orbit right now. Although Ezreal is getting up there, he does have a significant amount of farm. If we look at gold right now, Corki having a lot more gold, 2,500 more gold than Ezreal, and TF Link coming out on top in this game in terms of gold with 11,100 to Rise's 9,000. So really an impressive lead that they built up. 283 CS on Link at the 23-minute mark. That
is a remarkable amount of CS. You know, you talk about pro-level CS, that's absurd. That's a lot of CS.
And now what we're going to see is the split pushing is really going to begin here. You can see TF with that Lich Bane looking to try and make an angle on the inhibitor turret there in bot lane, but they're going to head back for yet another dragon. Bloodwater has picked up another Oracle.
Another Baron.
Another Baron, you're absolutely correct. And there are no wards over here, so it'll be pretty much free as Rumble and TF continue to show themselves in mid and bot lane. Orbit has no clue this is going on.
No, yeah, this is going to be a basic... Oh, yes, they do, apparently. An Ezreal ultimate went down. Unfortunately, was not able to snipe the Baron. That would have been something. But, so, we have CLG Black coming away with a relatively free Baron, and Orbit is pushed to their towers and is going to have to wait this one out.
Yeah, unfortunately, that would have been actually a spectacular steal by the end if he had managed to get that blind, and it was pretty close, all things considered.
That it was. I was ready to erupt in exclamations of high volume.
On Rumble here, we see an Elixir of Brilliance. He still has not popped that blue pot. I don't know what he's saving it for. Special occasion.
Yeah, it's the Christmas blue pot, I think.
He's going to use it as soon as the Nexus explodes.
Probably, just to shine more. Or something. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. CLG Black looks like they're just going to be clearing out their jungle, getting some more buffs real quick. I'm surprised Link isn't heading for that blue buff. He will get it as soon as he comes back. And he's picked up a Void Staff as well, so he is looking extremely scary. Let's take a look at his AP real quick. 518 by the 30-minute mark, so he will be doing just a truckload of damage with that Lich Bane and with that Void Staff.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because the amount of damage, the amount of burst and front-loaded damage that CLG Black has right now is pretty high between TF and Corki. That's going to put out a lot of front load onto whoever gets caught in those CCs.
Absolutely correct. And now we see Corki looks like he's going to pick up a defensive item. We'll see if he actually goes for an Infinity Edge or a Last Whisper as his next item, if the game even makes it that far. Again, you know, Orbit looking like things are pretty dire right now. They haven't even killed a turret yet, Orbit, unfortunately for them. So it's 5-0 in terms of turret. The poke, the incredible poke from Link's TF and Hoodstomp's Corki, making it very easy to take down this turret, especially again with that Lich Bane and Trinity Force.
Yeah, no, this is not looking good for Orbit. There's going to have to be an aggressive initiation from Malphite, I think, when they get into that pushing situation. In order to clean this up, we're going to have to see that Malphite ultimate. Of course, Hoodstomp will not be caught in that as he does have his Banshee's Veil unless something gets popped. And Shen, you know, just pushing top by himself because he can.
Yeah, and this split push, of course, doing extremely strong things. I'm kind of surprised Shen hasn't picked up an Ionic Spark. He went Wit's End instead, so he's not going to be able to split push as effectively as he might be able to otherwise. But this poke from wild cards keeps going down onto the players from Orbit, and there's not really a lot they can do between those wild cards and that rocket. And Link just taking tower shots once in a while, and there'll be Pooh Bear almost catching him with a Rune Prison under turret, but not quite.
Yeah, not quite, and here's the push going in. The aggressiveness is starting to come out as Hoodstomp is going to poke that one down, and there's the inhibitor. We got Yuzuki actually busting Flash to get out of that as Lemon Nation gets hit by wild cards and gold cards. There's the gate from TF. I'm not quite sure why. Probably just to scare people.
He ported top lane in order to push this turret immediately, cleared out the minion wave as fast as he could, and now they will be pushing down this second turret as well.
Yep, there it is, the second turret. It's going to go down pretty hard, I would imagine. As, well, Bloodwater getting rooted on the turret. Lemon Nation going to take a lot of damage. There's the Ezreal ulti going out. It's not going to take Janna down. There he is, though, high diving in. Janna's going to flash out. Zuna is going to pick up a kill on high. Yuzuki is going to take a lot of damage from Psycho Sydney. He's going to go down. Ezreal's going to pick Shen up, but Hoodstomp's still at full HP, as is Link. So this tower is going to go right down, and I think that might be game, Monte Cristo.
I think it might be, and again, we see the carries either alive or at full HP for CLG Black. So really, Orbit having an incredibly difficult time getting back and doing damage to Hoodstomp and Link. And I think that's really, the kind of the story of this game, and what I thought with the comp based on Champ Select. I said that that Orbit might have some trouble getting back given the kind of CC and disengage capabilities from the comp that CLG Black is running. This is a great comp, and they've really used it nicely.
Yes, it is. It's working out great for them. As you see right now, Orbit is just in the base. They're clearing out their inhibitors, and CLG Black basically has full reign of the entire map at this point.
Absolutely. So Link now moving up, clearing out, pushing back into the base. They will prepare very shortly to make a final push, probably in this bot lane, or they may just try and take it straight up the middle into the Nexus turrets, but wait for a few of the super creeps to get there, and I think this game will probably be over unless Orbit can pull off some sort of incredible engage with Malphite and Nocturne ults, which are both currently down.
Right. So that's horrendously unfortunate for them that those ults are down, because that is going to be their only methods of initiation presently.
Yeah, and again, those Malphite ults and Nocturne ults, you would have thought that they would have been able to get into the back line somewhat, but I think the early game advantage and the damage output from Rumble especially are really affecting the ability of Orbit to compete. And Psycho Sid spamming his taunt and making that noise, if you guys were wondering what that sound was. So...
Yeah, that awful sound is Psycho Sid taunting. And you notice that, Rumble is an incredibly effective mid-line, just making sure that Yazuki and Hai can't get back to Corki and TF without taking a whole lot of punishment.
And especially now that he has that Rylai's, so his ult and his Flame Spitter are going to be slowing for a significant amount. And here comes the unstoppable force.
And the dives from Nocturne. Jonamonsoon pushing everybody out. Link is now on a rampage. We're going to see 3 kills go down immediately. Double kill for Link. And there's the ace from Shen. That's going to be game, ladies and gentlemen. A 5-for-1 trade. No one dies on CLG Black. That was unfortunately the best that Orbit could do. The engagement had to happen or the game was going to be over anyway. Really well done by both teams. The game ends up going to CLG Black.
And that was a very impressive and fun to watch team comp and game. Very well won by CLG Black. A very convincing win as well, considering the kind of the stakes of this game. 20,000 gold lead. So we are now done with our first game. We will be back on in just a couple of minutes. KDH and I will still be on this channel casting Orbit versus Fornot as soon as we get into the next game in probably 5 to 10 minutes. So sit down, grab a drink, and we'll be back with you shortly.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.